The sun was brutal that morning, but it was nothing compared to the heat burning inside her chest. Alina stood at the edge of Rosevale, the town she had once called home. Her heart pounded louder than the rickety wheels of the cab behind her. She had no luggage, just a large duffel bag, a baby carrier strapped to her front and two small hands clutching each of her thighs. "Are we there, Mama?" little Ava asked, her curls bouncing under the faded cap she wore. Alina nodded, her eyes fixed on the familiar street that led toward the mansion she'd once dreamed of living in. She hadn't seen him in 5 years. 5 long, silent years since the night she vanished without saying goodbye, or a word about the babies growing inside her. He had begged her to stay back then, on his knees even, but she'd been stubborn or scared or both. He had nothing then, just dreams and dusty blueprints. Everyone laughed at him, said a boy from the south side of Rosevale would never build. Anything but disappointment. Now he was the richest man in the city. Billionaire, they whispered. Untouchable, the papers said. And she was back, holding the evidence of their forgotten past. The kids had no idea who their father was. She told them stories, yes, stories of a man who built cities from broken bricks, of a dreamer who once danced in the rain with her. But never his name, never his face. She wasn't ready. And she still wasn't. She pulled the hoodie lower over her face and walked, the triplets in tow, their tiny steps eager and clueless. Rosevale had changed. Skyscrapers rose where parking lots used to be, fancy cafes, electric cars, billboards, with a face she still knew too well, his, Liam Reyes. The name echoed in every corner of the city now. He was on the cover of Forbes just last month. From dirt to diamond, the headline had said. She had seen it in a gas station on the road back. Her hands trembled then just like they did now, but she didn't turn back. She had come this far for them, maybe even for herself. She made it to the gates of the Reyes estate by noon. The mansion behind the black iron gate looked like it belonged in a movie. Wide marble steps, tall white columns, glass so clear it seemed invisible. A security guard stepped out of a booth, already sizing her up. "Ma'am, you lost?" Alina hesitated. Her eyes darted toward the security camera perched like a hawk above the gate. She knew Liam was watching somewhere, always watching. He liked to keep control. Nothing happened near his home without him knowing. "I'm here to see Liam," she said barely above a whisper. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but he'll want to see me." The guard raised an eyebrow, looked at the kids, then back at her. "Name?" She paused. Her heart raced. 5 years. No calls, no letters, no messages, just disappeared. Would he remember her? Would he hate her? Could he forgive? Alina Vega. The guard's face changed instantly, like he'd heard a ghost. He picked up the phone, turned his back, slightly, and whispered fast. A moment later he hung up and stared at her for a long, uncomfortable second. He said, "Bring her in." The gates creaked open slowly, and as she stepped inside, the kids clutching her tighter, Alina's knees threatened to buckle. She felt the weight of every year in that walk up the driveway, every night alone, every diaper, every cough, every birthday with no father. Then the door opened. And there he stood. Liam, richer, harder, colder. He looked at her like she was a memory he'd buried and just had exhumed by force. "What do you want?" His voice was sharp, no smile, no warmth. She looked at the kids, then back at him. "I came to give you something you didn't know you had." He looked down. 3 pairs of eyes stared back up at him, his jaw clenched. "What? The hell is this?" He didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe for all she could tell. Liam just stared, eyes locked onto the 3 small faces now peeking at him from behind Alina's legs. One looked up with the exact same shade of stormy grey he'd seen, in the mirror every day of his life. Another had his dimpled smirk even when unsure. The third, the smallest, had Alina's eyes, soft brown, sad and filled with too much understanding for such a young face. "What kind of sick joke is this?" he asked finally, voice low, deadly. Alina stiffened. "It's not a joke." He stepped closer, just a few feet now between them. He didn't know whether to shout or collapse. His heart was thundering, fists clenched, and 100 thoughts spiraled in his head, but one thing burned the loudest. You left. No. You didn't just leave me, Alina. You vanished, like I never existed. You let me break thinking I did something wrong. Her voice cracked. I was scared. Scared. His voice rose now, sharp like broken glass. Scared of what? That I couldn't take care of you? That I wouldn't love them? No, Liam. I didn't even know I was pregnant when I left. The silence that followed could have shattered concrete. I found out 2 months later. And by then you were already on your way up. You were becoming someone, Liam. I didn't want to ruin your future. I didn't want to be a chain around your ankle. He laughed, bitter and cold. So instead, you made me hate myself for 5 years? She didn't answer, just pulled her kids closer. Ava, the boldest of the three, tugged at her hand. Is that Daddy? The question made Liam's whole world tip sideways. He looked at the little girl, Ava. She couldn't have been more than 4.5, close to 5, same age as the time she left. The math punched him in the gut. He crouched down, eyes leveling with the kids. They looked nervous but curious, like meeting a storybook character come to life. I'm Liam, he said slowly. The smallest one, Eli, tilted his head. Is Liam a dad? Alina's throat tightened. Yes, she whispered. He is. Liam didn't know whether to scream, cry, or run. Everything he'd built, every damn dollar, every sleepless night, every battle he fought to climb out of the dirt, suddenly felt hollow. Because this had been happening while he chased it all. Because they had been growing, breathing, becoming little people without him. He stood and looked back at Alina. His voice, when it came again, was hoarse. Why now? She met his gaze with shame and a strength he'd almost forgotten she had. Because they started asking questions, because they deserved to know, and because I couldn't lie anymore. And you think you can just drop them? Here and disappear again? No, her voice cracked. I'm not leaving. I'm not asking for anything either. I just wanted you to know. He looked down at the triplets again. His triplets. The resemblance was undeniable now. It didn't matter how rich he was, how powerful. This made him feel powerless. I need time, he muttered. Brushing past her, he walked away up the steps and into the house, slamming the door behind him. The triplets flinched. Alina's eyes welled, but she kept her chin up. She didn't come expecting a miracle, but she didn't expect that look either, the one that said he didn't know whether to hate her or fall apart. From the second floor, behind the sheer curtain, Liam watched them. Watched her sit on the steps with his children, pulling them into her arms as they started to ask questions again. And deep inside, something old and broken inside him shifted. The house was too quiet. Liam paced the length of his study, fists stuffed into his pockets, trying not to lose his damn mind. Her voice still rang in his ears. I didn't know I was pregnant. God, what a line. What a twisted, tragic way for life to boomerang back into his chest just when he thought he'd finally found peace. He should have thrown her out. Should have called security, told them to escort her off the property. But he didn't. He couldn't. Not after seeing their faces, his children. He whispered it to himself like it might make it more real. My children, 3 of them, triplets, his. For 5 years, he'd buried himself in work, in revenge, in money. He had told himself he didn't need love, didn't need anyone, not after Alina left. But now he realized what he'd been chasing wasn't success. It was distraction, a way to outrun the ghost of the girl who took his heart and never gave it back. He hadn't heard the sound of small feet in this house. No laughter, no spilled juice, just silence and the occasional tapping of his assistant's heels. The life he built looked perfect on the outside. The inside? A museum? Cold, curated, empty. A knock on the study door pulled him out of the spiral. Sir? It was Marcus, his longtime butler. They're still sitting on the front steps. Should I bring them in? Liam hesitated, jaw tight. Then, quietly, yes, show them to the guest wing. Marcus nodded and disappeared. Back outside, Alina pulled the kids to their feet. She was sure they were about to be kicked off the property. She started gathering. So their things when Marcus returned with a small smile. "This way, ma'am. Mr. Reyes has arranged rooms for you and the children." Alina blinked, stunned. "He... what?" "He insists," Marcus added gently. Inside the house, the triplets' eyes lit up at the vastness. Marble floors, gold fixtures, a staircase that split into wings like something out of a castle. Alina kept her eyes down. She didn't know what this meant. A stay? A test? Was he buying time to decide if he'd fight for custody, or simply trying to be polite before disappearing again? The guest wing was beautiful. Too beautiful. One large suite for her, 3 smaller bedrooms next door for the kids. Each had soft beds, clean clothes laid out already, and toys. Expensive ones, the kind she could never afford. Tears stung her eyes, but she blinked them back. This wasn't about her, it was about them, and for tonight they had warmth and a roof. Later, when the kids fell asleep mid-lullaby, Alina slipped out into the hall and made her way toward the study. She couldn't sleep until they spoke again, properly. She found the door open, him sitting behind the desk, drink in hand. He didn't look up when she entered. "Couldn't wait until morning," he muttered. "I needed to say something," she said quietly, stepping inside. He finally looked at her, and his eyes, though tired and bitter, held something else. Now, confusion. Maybe pain. Maybe worse. Hope. She sat in the chair across from him, feeling like a stranger. "I'm sorry," she began. "I know that doesn't fix it, but I am. I was young, broke, terrified. You were chasing your dream, and I didn't want to be the reason you gave it up. You didn't give me a choice, Alina." "I know," she whispered, voice cracking, "and I've regretted it every day." They sat in silence. Only the soft ticking of the old wall clock filled the room. "I thought about you every time they asked where their father was," she said. "I made up stories, Liam. I told them you were on a spaceship, that you were busy building the world. Because I couldn't bear to say I left the one man who would have loved them more than anything." His jaw clenched. "I loved you," he said quietly. "I would have done anything for you. I loved you too, but love wasn't enough for you to stay." He stood and walked to the window, back turned. "You broke me, Alina. Do you know that? I built everything to prove I wasn't. Nothing. That you didn't leave me because I was worthless." She stepped closer, voice soft. "You were never worthless. And now you're back, and I have to figure out how to be a father to 3 kids I didn't even know existed. You don't have to decide now." "No," he said sharply, turning around, "but I will decide. Because if I do this, Alina, I'm not doing it halfway. If I let them into my life, I'm keeping them. All of them." Her heart stopped. "And you," he added darkly, "don't get to walk away again." The following morning, Alina woke, up to sunlight pouring through the cream-colored curtains and the soft sound of laughter echoing down the hallway. For a moment she forgot where she was. She sat up, blinking away sleep, then remembered the mansion, Liam, the triplets finally meeting their father. She wrapped herself in the robe provided in the suite and stepped out into the hallway. The laughter was louder now, childlike, free. She followed the sound, heart beating hard until she found them, her 3 little ones sprawled out on the living room rug of the East Wing, building a Lego city. And there, kneeling between them, was Liam. He was barefoot, still in joggers and a black t-shirt, his hair messy like he hadn't slept at all. But he was smiling, not fake or forced, real. It was a sight she hadn't seen since before she left, a smile that made her legs weak. "Good morning," she said, keeping her voice light. He looked up. The smile vanished, not into a frown, just something more guarded. "Morning." The kids barely noticed her. Ava was too busy explaining how her skyscraper was going to be. The tallest, Eli was trying to attach a bridge between towers, and Noah, quiet as always, was coloring nearby, humming under his breath. "They're already attached to you," she said carefully, easing herself onto the arm of the nearest chair. "They're good kids," he said flatly, then looked her dead in the eye. "Better than both of us." She swallowed hard. "I didn't come here expecting anything, Liam, I swear." He wiped his hands on a napkin, stood, and motioned her to follow him out of the room. She did, and once they were out of earshot, his tone shifted. "I called a lawyer last night." Alina's stomach dropped. "I needed to understand my rights, what I can claim, what you can fight. I'm not trying to take them from you." "I know," he interrupted, "but if I decide to be part of their lives, I'm not going to be a weekend dad. I don't believe in that crap." She nodded slowly, trying to stay calm. "Then what do you want?" "I want them to live here." Alina froze. "You mean with you?" "Yes." "And me?" He looked her dead in the eye. "That's the part I'm still deciding." Her breath caught in her throat. He continued, "They need stability, security. You've done your best, but let's not pretend you can give them what I can. School, healthcare, a future." "I gave them love," she said, voice trembling. "I gave them safety," he nodded. "And now they can have both, with me. But I'm not giving up my kids." "No one's asking you to," he said. "But if you think I'm going to be some background figure, some donor with a nice house and weekend sleepovers, you've misunderstood who I am." She folded her arms. "You don't get to bulldoze me just because you're rich now. This isn't about money," he snapped. "It's about responsibility. Something you didn't give me the chance to have." She flinched. The silence between them stretched heavy and raw. Then Liam sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Look, I'm not trying to punish you. I'm angry, yes, but I don't want to fight. I want to figure this out, for them." Alina sat down on the edge of the window seat. "So what does that look like?" "I don't know yet," he admitted, "but I want them here. And I want to see if we can be something." Again. She blinked. "You mean us?" He nodded slowly. "Not because I forgive you, not yet, but because I look at them and I see us, the best parts of us, and maybe we still have something left." Alina didn't respond. Her heart was too full, too scared, too unsure. From down the hall, Noah's voice echoed, "Mommy, Daddy, come see my drawing." They both turned toward the sound, and in that split second, something shifted. Not forgiveness, not healing, but maybe a beginning. It started with the photograph. Liam found it buried under a stack of old paperwork in his home office. A dusty, slightly crumpled picture of him and Alina from 6 years ago, back when dreams were all they had, and money was just a fantasy. They were in a diner, smiling like the world hadn't touched them yet. He remembered that day like it was yesterday. It was the same night he told her he'd make something of himself. That one day they'd live in a place with golden handles and white marble floors. He just didn't expect to live in it alone. Now, as he stared at that photo, everything felt like it had come full circle. Only, it hadn't. Not really. There were still too many questions, too many secrets. He tucked the photo into his drawer and walked out, ready to head into the city for a few meetings. But just as he was grabbing his keys, Marcus stepped in with a concerned look on his face. "Sir, you have a visitor." Liam frowned. "Who?" "Clara Lancaster." His stomach turned. Clara, the woman who had once tried to crawl her way into his bed and into his empire, when he was still newly rich and very vulnerable. Clara had money, status, and ambition, but none of it was ever genuine. He shut that chapter long ago, or so he thought. "What the hell is she doing here?" Marcus hesitated. "She said it's about Alina." Liam's eyes narrowed. "Send her to the back study. Keep the kids upstairs." Minutes later, Clara stood across from him, dressed to kill in a red dress and heels that screamed money and manipulation. Her lips curled into a smirk. "You always did look better furious," she said smoothly. Liam didn't smile. "Get to the point, Clara. I don't have time for games." She sauntered forward, tossing a manila envelope onto the table. "Just thought you might want to know what your little reunion girl's been up to these past 5 years." He opened the envelope slowly, jaw tightening with every paper he flipped through: hospital records, rent receipts, a few blurry photos, and finally, a court file. Alina's name was on it. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because while you were busy chasing your billions, she wasn't just playing mum, she was also on trial. For theft. Petty, yes, but theft nonetheless. Liam stared at the page. Defendant, Alina Vega. Charge, misdemeanor shoplifting. Outcome, deferred sentence, dismissed after completion of community service. He exhaled sharply. Clara leaned in. Still think she's the angel you've been painting in your head? She stole baby formula and diapers, Clara, he said, coldly. Not diamond necklaces. Clara's smile twitched. Still defending her, huh? How sweet. Even after she left you to rot. You can leave now. She chuckled. Sure, but just remember, Liam, women like her don't just leave once. They run when things get hard, just like she did before. He didn't answer. He just stared at the folder, his jaw tight. Later that evening, Alina found him in the study again. He didn't speak at first, just pushed the folder toward her. What's this? She asked. Your past. She paled, slowly flipped through it. Her hands shook when she reached the court file. I never hid this, she whispered. No, you just never told me, he snapped. You let me think you were gone to protect me, to keep me from struggling. When in reality, you were alone and desperate. I was trying to survive, Liam, and you didn't think I should know what you were going through. I didn't want your pity. He stood angry now. It was never pity, Alina. I would have helped you. I would have given everything to you, but you decided I wasn't worth the truth. Tears filled her eyes. I hated myself every day, but I couldn't watch you climb and think I was the reason you might fall. They stood inches apart now, tension thick, past and present crashing between them. You hurt me, he whispered. I know, and I don't know if I can trust you. Her voice broke. But can you try? He stared at her, eyes full of all the pain she'd left behind. Then a soft knock came from the hallway. Daddy, Mommy? Ava peeked in. Can we have dinner together tonight? Alina turned away, quickly wiping her eyes. Liam looked at his daughter, his blood, and the wall inside him cracked a little more. Yeah, sweetheart, he said, voice softening. Dinner sounds good. Dinner was quiet at first, too quiet. The long mahogany dining table stretched out like something in a palace, polished to a blinding shine, set perfectly with china and silverware Alina didn't dare touch. Liam sat at the head, the triplets on either side of him, and she directly across. From the outside it might have looked like a picture-perfect family dinner, but inside the tension was thick enough to choke on. The kids didn't notice. They were too excited by the number of forks, the little butter sculptures shaped like roses, and the personal waiter who brought them fresh apple juice in crystal glasses. This is the fanciest dinner ever, Eli whispered. Liam smiled a little. You haven't even seen dessert yet. Noah, usually the quietest, piped up. Do you eat like this every day? Liam shook his head. Not always. Sometimes I forget to eat at all. Alina watched him carefully, every word he said laced with more emotion than he let on. She'd always known he was driven, but now he was controlled, like a man always waiting for something to explode. Midway through dinner, the doorbell rang. Liam frowned, glancing at Marcus, who moved to answer it. A few seconds later, the butler reappeared, awkwardly clearing his throat. Sir, your brother is here. Liam's fork paused midair. I didn't invite him. He said it's urgent. Alina stiffened. She remembered Cole Reyes, loud, entitled, always drunk or chasing someone else's girlfriend. He and Liam had always been opposites. One built things, the other broke them. Liam wiped his mouth and stood up. Excuse me. As soon as he stepped out, the kids started whispering again, giggling about how many spoons they had. But Alina's stomach tightened. She could feel it. Trouble. Outside in the hallway, voices rose. You didn't return my calls, Liam, Cole barked, because I don't owe you a damn thing. Cole scoffed. I heard about your little guests. Alina's. Back with kids. Jesus, man, you sure they're even yours? Don't say another word, Liam warned. Oh, come on. The girl leaves you for 5 years, pops out triplets, and now you're what? Daddy Warbucks, you're just gonna roll over for that. Liam grabbed his brother by the collar and shoved him back against the wall. You think this is a joke? Cole sneered. I think she saw your face in Forbes and came running. She didn't ask me for a damn cent. She didn't even ask to stay. Yeah? But you let her. Which makes you a fool. Liam's eyes were ice. Get out, Cole, and don't come near my kids. Your kids, Cole mocked, brushing his shirt off. You really believe that? I don't need to believe it. I know it. Cole snorted. You used to be smart, bro. Now you're just another sucker in love. That was it. Liam didn't answer, just turned and walked back inside, shutting the door behind him harder than necessary. When he returned to the dining room, his smile was gone. You okay? Alina asked, standing. It was just Cole, he muttered. Same as always. Nothing's changed. But she could see it in his face. Something had changed, and she knew Cole's visit was more than just a brotherly drop-in. Later that night, after the kids were tucked in and asleep, Alina stepped into Liam's office again. He was pouring himself a drink, his hands shaking more than he wanted her to see. What did he say? Liam didn't look up. He doesn't matter. Yes, he does, because you're still thinking about it. He set the glass down without drinking. Turned toward her slowly. He said you came back because of my money. Her breath caught. And do you believe that? His silence said enough. I didn't even know how rich you were until I saw that magazine cover at a gas station, she said, voice trembling. I came back because they started asking about their father, and because I never stopped thinking about you. You should have come back sooner. I was afraid of exactly this, she whispered, that you'd think I wanted something from you, that you'd look at me and see a gold digger instead of the woman who still loved you. His eyes darkened. You love me? She nodded slowly. I never stopped. Silence. He crossed the room, stopped inches from her. If you lie, to me again, Alina, I won't forgive it. I won't, she whispered. His hands were trembling, but he reached for hers anyway, and for the first time in 5 years, their fingers found each other again. The headlines hit by morning. City's billionaire bachelor has secret family, ex-girlfriend returns with triplets, from rags to riches to daddy duty. Liam Reyes' hidden children spark shock and scandal. Alina stood in the kitchen, her phone buzzing non-stop with messages from numbers she hadn't seen in years. The group chats she'd left behind, her old job's manager, even her mother, who she hadn't spoken to since she left home pregnant, ashamed and stubborn, was calling now. She stared at the screen in horror. Liam, she called out, you need to see this. He was already in the living room, pacing with his phone to his ear, barking at his legal team. I don't care who leaked it. I want a name, now. The triplets sat on the rug, cartoons playing, oblivious to the chaos unraveling around them. But Alina's mind was spiraling. It wasn't just about privacy anymore. It was about judgment, about public scrutiny, about Cole. When Liam finally hung up, his jaw was clenched so tight it looked like it might snap. How did this happen? She asked, voice low. Someone in my circle, probably Cole, maybe one of the house staff. Doesn't matter. I'll find out. And the kids? They're safe, I'll double security, but this is going to get ugly. She nodded slowly, already feeling the eyes of the world on her like burning coals. They'll say I came back for your money. They already are, he said bitterly. Her voice shook. Then what happens? Now? I fix it, that's what I do. But Alina could hear the storm inside him. He wasn't just angry. He was humiliated, exposed. The control he always kept so tightly around his life had been shattered in a single night. By noon, news vans were circling the outer gates. Paparazzi drones buzzed in the air like vultures. And Cole, he made it worse. A video leaked. Cole standing in a bar, drink in hand, talking to some reporter like he was auditioning for his own reality show. They're not even confirmed his kids, he said, half laughing. She shows up out of nowhere and bam, 3 kids who somehow have perfect timing with Liam's success. Please. She's playing him. She always did. Liam nearly threw his phone when he saw it. That bastard. Alina's hands were shaking. He's ruining everything. No, he's trying to. That's different. But the words stung more than Liam let on. There was doubt now. Not just in the world outside, but in his own home. In his own mind. He tried not to show it, but Alina could see it creeping in, eating at the foundation of what they were trying to rebuild. That evening, as security escorted the kids through the underground garage to a safe playroom Liam had converted, Alina cornered him in the hallway. "I need to talk to you," she said. He didn't stop walking. "Liam, please." He turned, eyes dark, expression unreadable. "Talk." She hesitated. "I'll take a DNA test. For them. For all three." He froze. "I don't need it," he said, but his voice wasn't sure anymore. "I do. And you do. Because this won't go away. And we need the truth to be something solid. Something no one, not your brother, not the media, can rip apart." He looked away, jaw twitching. "I never lied about them, Liam," she whispered. "But I understand why you'd wonder. I'd wonder too if I were you." The silence hung like a blade between them. Finally, he nodded. "Fine. We do the test. Tomorrow." "And then?" He looked at her. "Then we find out how much truth there really is between us." Later that night, she sat beside the kids as they slept, watching their little chests rise and fall. Her heart was in knots. She didn't doubt the outcome, but she feared the damage already done. Liam's love, his trust. It had taken a hit, and out in the city, Cole's poison was still spreading.